What if I told you that within the first few seconds of meeting someone, they have already decided whether to respect you or not? Have you ever walked into a room and felt invisible while others instantly commanded attention? Have you ever found yourself in a situation where someone disregards your presence, interrupts you, or makes a joke at your expense? Many people believe that respect is something you must demand, but the truth is that respect is earned through how you carry yourself and respond to challenges. If you do not establish your presence, others will decide how they treat you. Marcus Aurelius once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Respect is not about controlling others. It is about controlling yourself in a way that makes others recognize your value. In this video, we will explore practical strategies to ensure that people respect you immediately. These are not theoretical concepts, but tested techniques based on human psychology. You will learn how to respond when someone interrupts you, how to handle public humiliation, and how to turn disrespect into an opportunity to establish authority. Most importantly, you will discover the power of walking away when respect is not given. This is not a sign of weakness, but a declaration of self-worth. Stay with us until the end, because the last tip is the most powerful strategy you can use when dealing with those who refuse to respect you. If you want to live with confidence, dignity, and authority, this video is for you. By the time you finish watching, you will have the tools to command respect in any situation. Now, let us begin by understanding why people sometimes fail to respect you in the first place. The hidden reason people disrespect you. Many people assume that when someone disrespects them, it is because of personal hatred or dislike. However, this is often not the case. Most of the time, a lack of respect comes from something much simpler. It happens because people believe they can get away with it. Seneca once said, "Treat a man as he is, and he will remain as he is. Treat a man as he could be, and he will become what he should be." This means that people will treat you based on how they perceive you. If you allow them to treat you with disrespect, they will continue to do so. If you establish strong boundaries, they will see you as someone who commands respect. There are three main reasons why people may fail to respect you. The first reason is opportunism. Some individuals try to elevate themselves by diminishing others. This happens in workplaces, social groups, and even among friends. They believe that making others look weak makes them appear bad. When they notice that someone does not resist or challenge their behavior, they continue doing it. They may not even see it as an act of intentional disrespect. Instead, they see it as a way to position themselves above others. The second reason is habit. Some people have developed a pattern of disregarding others. They do not necessarily mean to be disrespectful, but they have become accustomed to treating people as if they do not matter. If no one challenges this behavior, they will continue doing it. Over time, this behavior spreads, and others around them may start to follow the same pattern. What begins as an individual habit can turn into a group dynamic where certain people are routinely ignored or belittled. The third reason is social cues. People often determine how to treat others based on unspoken signals. If you present yourself as someone who does not require respect, others will take that as permission to overlook your presence. This is why confidence, body language, and the way you carry yourself are so important. People make quick judgments based on subtle details, and if you do not establish yourself as someone worthy of attention and respect, you may find that others fail to acknowledge you properly. The most important thing to understand is that people treat you based on what you allow. If you do not set clear expectations for how you want to be treated, others will decide for you. This does not mean you need to be aggressive or confrontational. It simply means that you must communicate, through your actions and presence, that you are not someone to be disregarded. Understanding this is the first step to changing how others perceive you. Next, we will discuss how to make a strong first impression and ensure that people respect you from the very beginning. The power of first impressions. First impressions matter more than most people realize. Within seconds of meeting you, others form opinions about your confidence, authority, and social value. These initial judgments are difficult to change, which is why it is critical to present yourself in a way that commands respect from the beginning. Psychologists have studied this phenomenon and found that people rely on quick visual and behavioral cues to determine how they should treat someone. Your posture, eye contact, tone of voice, and overall presence send unspoken messages about whether you are someone to be taken seriously. The first mistake many people make is appearing hesitant or unsure of themselves when meeting others. If you seem uncomfortable or overly eager to please, people subconsciously register you as someone without authority. This does not mean you should act superior or arrogant, but it does mean you should present yourself with calm self-assurance. There are 3 key elements to making a strong first impression. The first is posture. When you walk into a room, stand up straight, move with purpose, and take your time. People who rush or appear hesitant give the impression that they lack confidence. Your movements should be steady and deliberate, signaling that you are in control of yourself and your environment. The second is eye contact. When greeting someone, look directly into their eyes as you shake hands. Do not glance away or down at their hand. Many people make the mistake of watching the handshake rather than maintaining eye contact. This small movement may seem insignificant, but it signals submission rather than confidence. The third is voice control. When speaking, use a steady and controlled tone. Avoid speaking too quickly or too softly, as both can make you seem uncertain. A slow, clear voice indicates confidence. People instinctively listen to and respect those who speak in a measured, deliberate manner. A common mistake is trying too hard to make others like you. Smiling excessively or nodding too much can make you seem overly eager for approval. Instead, maintain a calm, composed demeanor. You do not need to win people over immediately. Simply present yourself as someone who is comfortable in their own skin and does not need to seek validation. In professional settings, these principles are even more critical. If you are sitting when someone enters the room, stand up before shaking their hand. Remaining seated while greeting someone puts you at a disadvantage because it forces the other person to look down at you. Standing before greeting someone establishes equality and shows that you take the interaction seriously. Respect begins with how you carry yourself. Before you ever say a word, people have already made assumptions about your confidence and self-worth. If you want to be treated with respect, you must first present yourself as someone who respects themselves. Making a strong first impression is just the beginning. But what happens when someone disregards you entirely, cutting you off mid-sentence? Let us explore how to handle interruptions with confidence. What to do when someone interrupts you? Being interrupted in a conversation is a clear sign that someone does not respect your voice. It can happen in both personal and professional settings, and how you handle it will determine how others perceive you. If you allow interruptions to continue without addressing them, people will subconsciously see you as someone whose words do not carry weight. Many people make the mistake of reacting emotionally when they are interrupted. They either stop speaking entirely, showing submission, or they try to talk over the interrupter, which can come across as desperate. Neither response is effective in commanding respect. The best way to handle interruptions is to pause, maintain eye contact, and establish control of the situation. The first step is to stop talking immediately when the interruption occurs. Do not try to compete for attention. Instead, remain silent and look directly at the person who interrupted you. This creates a natural pause that forces the other person to acknowledge what they have done. The second step is to maintain firm but calm eye contact. Do not look away or appear flustered. A composed and steady gaze signals that you are fully aware of what just happened and that you are not willing to be dismissed. The third step is to reclaim the conversation using a simple, direct statement. You can say, "Excuse me, I was not finished," or "I would like to finish my point." These phrases are polite but assertive. They make it clear that you will not allow yourself to be ignored. In group settings, this approach is especially effective. When others see that you handle interruptions with quiet confidence, they will instinctively start giving you more respect. Most people do not want to be seen as disrespectful, so when you make them aware of their behavior, they are likely to adjust. There are situations where you may choose to let an interruption slide, such as when your boss or a senior authority figure interrupts you. In such cases, instead of confronting them directly, wait for a natural pause and then continue speaking in a calm and composed manner. This allows you to assert yourself without creating unnecessary conflict. On the other hand, if a person repeatedly interrupts you, it may be necessary to address the pattern more firmly. If they do it again, you can say, "I noticed you have interrupted me a few times. I would appreciate the chance to finish what I was saying." This approach forces them to recognize their behavior without making the conversation hostile. Every time someone interrupts you and you let it slide, you teach them that your words do not matter. But what if, instead of just interrupting you, they decide to turn you into the joke of the conversation? Let us now discuss how to handle public humiliation with grace and power. Next, we will discuss how to respond when someone tries to embarrass you with a joke at your expense. How to respond to public insults or jokes at your expense. At some point, you will find yourself in a situation where someone tries to embarrass you with a joke in front of others. Whether it happens in a social gathering at work or even among friends, how you respond will determine whether people see you as someone who commands respect or someone who can be easily undermined. Many people react in one of two ways. They either laugh along even if they feel uncomfortable, or they become defensive and try to fight back. Neither of these responses works in your favor. Laughing along signals that you accept being the target, and getting defensive makes you seem emotionally reactive, which only encourages further teasing. Instead, the most effective way to handle a joke at your expense is to stay calm and put the other person in an uncomfortable position without directly confronting them. The first strategy is to act as if you did not hear or understand the joke. Look directly at the person and say, "I am sorry, I did not catch that. Could you repeat it?" This forces them to say the joke again, which immediately reduces its impact. The reason this works is because humor relies on timing. When someone has to repeat a joke, it often loses its original effect. The second time, the joke sounds forced, and the person who made it may start to feel awkward. The second strategy is to remain completely neutral in your reaction. Instead of laughing or showing any emotional response, simply look at the person for a few seconds and then move on to another topic of conversation. This creates an uncomfortable silence that makes them feel the weight of their own words. The third strategy is to ask them to explain the joke. You can say, "I do not get it. Can you explain why that is funny?" This approach works especially well in professional or formal settings because it shifts the discomfort onto the person who made the joke. In many cases, they will realize that their comment was inappropriate and backtrack on their own. The key to all these strategies is to remain composed. The moment you show emotional distress, you give power to the other person. By responding with quiet confidence, you take away their ability to control the situation. If the person continues to make jokes at your expense, you may choose to address it more directly. In a calm tone, you can say, "You seem to enjoy making jokes about me. Is there a reason for that?" This puts them in a position where they have to either justify their behavior or stop altogether. By handling public insults in this way, you send a clear message. You will not be easily embarrassed, and you will not allow yourself to be treated as a target. Next, we will discuss how to handle situations where someone tries to provoke you into anger. How to handle provocation without losing control. There will always be people who try to provoke you, either to get a reaction or to make themselves look superior. They may challenge you in public, make condescending remarks, or try to push your buttons in a way that forces you into an emotional response. If you fall into their trap, you give them control over the situation. The mistake most people make when faced with provocation is responding with anger or frustration. When you react emotionally, you show that the other person has succeeded in affecting you. This only encourages them to continue. Instead of responding with emotion, the best strategy is to disrupt their attempt at control by introducing something completely unrelated to the conversation. One of the most effective techniques is called pattern interruption. When someone tries to provoke you, respond with a question or comment that has nothing to do with what they said. For example, if someone makes a rude comment about you, you can reply by asking, "Do you know any good coffee shops around here?" Or, "I think I wore the wrong shoes today." This response confuses the person trying to provoke you because they expect an emotional reaction. Instead, you break the pattern of the conversation and shift the focus away from their attempt to control the situation. The reason this works is because provocation relies on a predictable sequence. The person insults you, you react emotionally, and they gain power from your response. By breaking the sequence with an unexpected comment, you take away their ability to manipulate you. Another approach is silence. Instead of responding at all, simply pause, look at the person for a few seconds, and then continue doing whatever you were doing. This creates discomfort for them because they do not receive the reaction they were expecting. In professional settings, a more refined approach is to ask them to clarify their statement. If someone makes a sarcastic or rude remark, respond by saying, "Could you explain what you mean by that?" This forces them to either justify their words or backtrack. In all of these cases, the goal is the same. You refuse to give the other person the reaction they are seeking. Instead, you remain calm, composed, and unaffected by their attempts to provoke you. Seneca once said, "If a person gave your body to a stranger to insult it, you would be angry. Yet you hand over your mind to anyone who wishes to influence it." This is the essence of emotional control. You cannot stop people from attempting to provoke you, but you can control how you respond. There is one final strategy that requires no words, no confrontation, and yet sends the strongest message of all. It is the ultimate power move, the action of those who truly respect themselves. Let us now explore the strength of walking away. The ultimate power move, walking away. There comes a point when the best response to disrespect is no response at all. When someone repeatedly disrespects you, refuses to acknowledge your value, or continues to undermine you despite your composed and confident responses, the most powerful action you can take is to walk away. Walking away is not an act of weakness. It is a declaration that you will not remain in an environment where you are not respected. People who truly command respect do not beg for it, and they do not engage in endless battles to prove their worth. Instead, they remove themselves from situations where their presence is not valued. Many people hesitate to walk away because they fear that it will make them look weak. The truth is that the opposite is true. When you walk away on your own terms, you show that you do not depend on anyone's approval to define your worth. You send a message that your time and energy are too valuable to be wasted on those who do not appreciate them. Marcus Aurelius once said, "The best revenge is not to be like your enemy." If someone continues to disrespect you, trying to argue or fight for their respect only pulls you down to their level. Instead of engaging, choose to remove yourself from their presence. There are 3 situations where walking away is the best option. The first is when someone continues to test your boundaries. If you have made it clear that certain behavior is unacceptable and they persist, they are showing that they have no intention of respecting you. The strongest response is to distance yourself from them entirely. The second is when someone thrives on provoking others. Some people gain satisfaction from making others angry or uncomfortable. Engaging with them only gives them more power. The best way to neutralize their influence is to refuse to participate. When you walk away without giving them a reaction, you take away their ability to affect you. The third is when a situation does not serve you. If you are in an environment where your contributions are ignored, your presence is undervalued, or you are constantly struggling for recognition, it may be time to leave. Staying in a place where you are not respected only drains your energy and diminishes your sense of self-worth. The strongest people understand that their value is not determined by how others treat them, but by how they choose to respond. By walking away from toxic people and environments, you make it clear that you will not allow yourself to be devalued. Now that we have discussed all the key strategies for commanding respect, let us conclude with a final message about what truly makes people respect you. Final words. Your presence commands respect. Respect is not something you demand. It is something you embody. People decide how to treat you based on the signals you give them. If you present yourself with confidence, establish clear boundaries, and refuse to tolerate disrespect, you will naturally command respect. We have covered essential strategies to ensure that people recognize your value. The way you carry yourself, the way you handle interruptions, and the way you respond to insults all play a role in shaping how others see you. Most importantly, we have discussed the power of walking away. Many people spend too much time trying to win the approval of those who do not respect them. This is a mistake. The strongest people do not seek validation from others. They focus on developing themselves and allow respect to come naturally as a result. Marcus Aurelius once said, "It is not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." This is the foundation of respect. You cannot control how others behave, but you can control how you respond. When you remain calm in the face of disrespect, set firm boundaries, and carry yourself with dignity, you become someone that others look up to. Now we want to hear from you. Have you ever been in a situation where you had to assert your respect? How did you handle it? Share your experiences in the comments below. If you found this video helpful, make sure to like and subscribe to Stoic Story for more insights on living with confidence and strength. Thank you for watching, and we will see you in the next video.